PharmaPhobic is powered by Achieve the Lifestyle, a company dedicated to helping you empower your health, redefine your lifestyle, and all for the health of it. You're listening to PharmaPhobic, where we challenge the state of health in America. I'm Janie, a physician assistant, and I've seen how healthcare keeps people dependent instead of truly healthy.
And I'm Dan, a veteran turned fitness pro here to uncover the truth and explore simple and sustainable health solutions. From big pharma to big food, we're exposing the conflicts of interest keeping us sick and finding better ways to take back our health.
No fluff, no gimmicks, just real talk, real solutions, and a little bit of fun along the way.
Good morning, guys. Guten Tag.
Buenos dias.
Good day to you. Welcome to PharmaPhobic, guys, where we help you become the strongest, healthiest, and most capable version of yourself. Today, we're going down the rabbit hole, Janie.
Yeah. I'm Janie.
Girl, they know you by
And you're
now.
Dan.
And I'm Dan, and you guys know us by now. We've been here.
For somebody with OCD, I'm surprised you're not like, I have to say my name. I have to so.
No, because we've been here. I feel established at 20 plus podcasts. I feel like I'm like Joe Rogan's about to call us and have us on soon. So I'm just, we're a thing. We're a big deal, okay? We get downloads, y'all. So I feel like I don't have to introduce myself anymore,
Anyway, what were we going to talk about today?
Well, I'm going to open a rabbit hole and we're going to go down in there and we're going to get deep, guys. We're going to get deep. You might need a tinfoil hat. Maybe not. I'm just going to have it right here for you just in case you want to put it on, okay? But we're going to talk about nutrition and certain things out there in the nutrition landscape, okay? And most of what we'll talk about today will be related against that. First, right off the bat, I am of the opinion when you lay out the health and wellness things that you need to do if you want to be stronger, healthier, more capable, I feel like the gym is the easiest part, and that's where people's mind immediately goes to. Oh, I need to work out better. I need to work out more, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm like, listen, it's all the lifestyle stuff that happens outside of the gym that is really the challenge to implement. Getting people in the gym, as daunting as it may seem to people, it's the easiest one. That's the easiest hurdle to overcome.
You created a post about that recently.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, guys, if you don't follow us on Instagram, @Achieve the Lifestyle. But yeah, that's my whole, I've learned that over the years. I'm like, man, getting people to work out is super easy. You bring somebody in that's never worked out in their life, getting them to adhere to some sort of workout regimen for an extended period of time is easy. But doing all the other stuff that's going to bring the results they want that usually revolves around lifestyle is the harder part. Getting them to manage their stress, getting them to sleep better. And most definitely, which pertains to the topic we're going to do today, getting their nutrition right is always a challenge. It's the biggest challenge. People are just married to certain things. They think they need certain comfort foods to enjoy their life. They think they need alcohol to have fun. They think they need...
Or they identify themselves with food. So like Italians.
Yeah, I need to have all this pasta.
Sorry, Janine.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I could say my people's, the Puerto Ricans, I need to eat a mountain of rice and beans every day. You know, so it's...
I will say, as a just broadly Northwestern European descendant Kansan, it's like I have to have my potatoes, but then potatoes are great. So, I mean, I'm just infallible, I guess, in that regard.
You like potatoes so much that you are borderline Miss Potato.
I take offense to that because I got the visual of that. And no, thank you.
You do love you some potatoes. I mean, I've never seen anybody get so excited about some potatoes. In whatever form they come in, it's like, yeah, potatoes. Anyway, so that's why nutrition, guys, it's going to come up over and over and over. There's so much nuance. It's such a broad field. And you have to eat to live. So figuring this out is highly important. Moreover, on top of that, I wholeheartedly believe that if we as a nation made the nutrition situation better by taking BS ingredients out of the food, better farming practices, all that sort of thing, and giving people, figuring out the so-called food desert situation where, fresh fruits and vegetables and high quality meat and produce make it to, all these underserved areas and stuff. I think that the health situation of the country would improve drastically.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And that would just be like, hey, you don't work out, you're still sedentary, but you eat better. Chances are you're going to be healthier. So that's why we want to beat this thing up.
I would argue that if you eat healthy and you're really prioritize your nutrition and you're eating well, that you're probably not going to be sedentary.
I agree, because you're going to feel better. You're going to want to move your butt. Yeah. I agree 1,000%, because this thing's going to be firing better. So you're going to be like, you know what? That walking thing, that's not like a great idea.
Yeah.
So let's start with the health news, because you know how we do it up in here. A little bit different coming at you today with some health news. First one that I'm going to start with, related to nutrition, of course. I saw this video. I think I sent it to you. I wish we could cut to the video now and then come back, but we're not. We'll get there eventually, guys. But I saw this video on Instagram. This British lady was kind of musing and just having a reaction to seeing American strawberries and comparing them. You did not send
it to me.
I didn't send it to you?
No.
So I think the guys sent it to me, and then I thought I forwarded it to you, but she was having a reaction to looking at American strawberries and looking at their UK strawberries. And she's basically complaining because the American strawberries are like white on the inside. So they look luscious red on the outside, and then you cut them and then they're completely white on the inside. And then the UK ones are like red and vibrant on the inside. She's like, no, this is not a real strawberry, blah, blah, blah. And it prompted a few thoughts. First of all, it's seasonal versus non-seasonal eating. Okay, so obviously, guys, if you shop seasonal, and the Europeans are a little bit better at this, then no, they're way better than this at this than us. Which I'm not in the I'm not in the habit of giving Europe credit over the U.S. It's America around here, guys. But anyway, they're better about seasonal eating. Yeah. They eat what's in season. And we should too. What does that mean? Like, the soil is like primed. The environment is primed to give you this ideal fruit or vegetable with a good level of the nutrients that you expect from them, right? And you're also farming in a way that you're giving the soil a break, so the soil is able to regenerate all the nutrients that plant is going to absorb into it and put it out as a fruit or a vegetable.
You're also giving your body diversity in micronutrients, right? Boom. So it's not just only this profile from this fruit or vegetable year round. You're cycling through different micronutrients because, like I've said before, everything's an annoying balance. A lot of micronutrients will compete with others to affect absorption, so it's good to rotate through. Yeah,
no doubt. So you want a variety of whole foods in your diet so that make sure you're hitting all the micronutrients that you need to be optimal, right? And so there's all these reasons why eating seasonal makes more sense, but we don't. And we can also talk about the clean eating trap, where you're just eating like these 3 foods all the time and you're missing out.
Chicken, broccoli, brown rice.
Exactly. And you're missing out on all these other nutrients. So I'm eating clean. Yes, you are, sir. But you're also only eating this much of the nutritional spectrum that you need. So there's all of that.
And I think that you made a post about not coming or going to the gym's the easiest hurdle, whereas I made a post saying that I think it's the biggest travesty to us is that
we're paying more attention to calories
and micronutrients and quality.
No doubt. Right? Paying more, like the hyper focus on calories and caloric intake, and just eat this caloric balance. Doesn't matter what you eat. It's a travesty. It's an insanity. It's a transgression. It's a misguidance of the people.
For that, Pam cooking spray.
Oh my God.
instead of like butter and 0 calories.
Exactly. Diet Coke Zero. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah. Like,
But I bet if you like sprayed Pam and then lit a lighter, I don't know what would, I mean, I don't know what would happen. But
listen,
it may just go out. I may be like wrong here.
either way, like when you're not paying attention to nutrients and you're just paying attention to calories, you're going to screw yourself over, because then it just justifies eating whatever.
Yeah.
Versus, hey, I need these nutritious things that nourish my body, and they happen to be a little bit more calorically dense than a Coke Zero or whatever. So something to talk about there. But anyway, we eat here, like there's these things that are really popular: avocados, strawberries, all berries of all sorts, of all sorts. And we want to eat them year round, right? So we end up farming in a way, or buying things from places that can grow these things year round, even when they're not in season and the environment's not ideal to grow these fruits and vegetables, because we want them. They're in high demand, whatever. People get used to eating the same things. And what you end up with when things are out of season is a very, very low quality version of that. We've noticed this like more than ever recently, because we get our produce from a farmer's market here locally. And when the stuff is in season, they put it in a different part, right? And then they like, hey, get this, get that. So like right now it's like pineapples, melons, blueberries, peaches, nectarines. The cherries are coming in hot. So all this stuff is in season right now. And when we eat it, we're like, man, this melon is hitting so good. Cantaloupe, honeydew, it's like really good. Versus when you eat it out of season, it's like, it's like a hit or miss all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you caught that?
Yeah.
So
I go grocery shopping with you, so yes.
now you do. She used to not go grocery shopping with me, guys.
That's because you did it Friday afternoon and I like had a job.
Excuses. Parentheses, life hack, go grocery shopping on Fridays, guys. Friday night, listen, instead of hitting the bar, go grocery shopping. The grocery stores are fully stocked up and they're empty. Boom. So you ain't got to deal with it. Anyway, it goes into this argument of eating seasonal stuff. So these strawberries that are like lower quality that she's talking about, because they're devoid of color, but they look a certain way on the outside. That means, it tells me right off the bat, hey, this is an out of season strawberry, versus when they're in season, they kind of look more like what she's talking about.
Or it's a heavily like mass produced strawberry that's just been genetically modified to grow fast and without any weeds and
and
ripe
grow out
quick,
of season.
ripen
And then
quickly.
refer back to our Monsanto conversation and how they came up with GMOs. Basically, it means that it's a GMO. Now, this GMO conversation, people are like, oh, it's still a strawberry. Like, oh, it's not like they can. It's when the stuff is genetically modified like that, it's not necessarily that they're adding something to it that's going to, quote unquote, poison you. It means that the nutritional profile on it could be way less.
Right.
1, 2, probably sprayed with way more stuff.
Right. But I also think that we need to emphasize that if you're currently eating, what do you like to say? You're getting all your meals through a fast food window, drive-through. Going to any produce is going to be a step in the right direction.
No doubt.
And so we are just, we're kind of nitpicking. Like,
we're
if you have the ability and the means and the resources to get something that's not genetically modified, that is in season from a fresh market locally, right? Because the nutritional value is going to be better locally because less time from ground to your mouth. Then do that. But if it's like, hey, I'm on a fixed income, I would say your best option would be flash frozen fruit and vegetables.
Yep.
Yeah.
And definitely transitioning from French fries to whatever kind of strawberry you can get your hands on is going to improve your health significantly. No doubt. We're just kind of going deeper into the conversation here.
The other thing I would say about that, if you're like, well, I don't have money to spend on that, that may be true, but also have you looked at your spending? Because I would say you and I, we spend a good amount of money on groceries and we're not millionaires, okay? But we choose to not spend money on other things. Like we don't spend money on alcohol. That gives more money for food. There's a lot of, like, we always have our coffee at home. We do things so that we can spend more money on the quality of our food because we realize that's important. So if you're buying Starbucks every day, you know, I don't know. Yeah, just stick with Starbucks every day. And you're like, but I can't afford these things. I would take a look. And you're going out into the bars every single weekend, dropping $100 down for a bar tab. That could get you like a lot of fruits and vegetables.
If you are dropping $100 on a bar tab in 2025, I would like to know where you live because I don't think that's possible anymore. I think like a halfway decent bar tab these days is probably $150 and above.
I mean, it might be like a few Miller High Lifes.
I mean, if you're in like Kansas or something, or in West Texas, you know, you're drinking Lone Stars. Ooh, that's memories right there. But anyway.
The champagne of beers. I remember when that was fancy to get a Miller High Life.
Oh my God.
That's where I came from.
These days. Anyway, so that's something I'm comparing here. You remember when we went to Dubai? And oh yeah, we were in Dubai 2 years ago, guys. Highly recommend. Fun trip. Great trip. It was great. We bought those blueberries down in the little market for breakfast. And the blueberries were tiny and like darker, right?
Yeah.
And then the flavor of them was a very different flavor. I'm like, oh.
So Dan's never been to Maine because that's what the blueberries in Maine are like.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm getting at is those blueberries and the Maine blueberries do not look like a lot of the blueberries that you're going to find on your shelves at the average grocery store. Especially this thing with the jumbo blueberries. Hello, where do you find that in nature? Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's something to consider. You remember Croatia? When we were looking at the fruit for breakfast, how these oranges were like smaller,
and the
apples were significantly smaller. They were very opaque, like they didn't look all glossy and stuff. Shiny, and everything had seeds in it. All the oranges, all the apples, they all had seeds. The grapes, everything had seeds in it. That's another thing. Seedless grapes, seedless apples, seedless oranges.
Very convenient.
Convenient. We like peeling oranges and just popping them in, not having to worry about seeds out. But does that sound like nature's going to make a seedless thing that can't reproduce itself?
Nope.
I don't think so, guys.
That would be a eunuch fruit.
Yeah, that would be exactly. That would be the equivalent of a eunuch human. You're born a eunuch. Yeah, didn't make sense. So this is where you start seeing, you know, the GMO thing and the quality of the food, whatever. And that, like we said, hey, eating a seedless grape is going to be better than eating French fries for sure. So if that's what you can get your hands on, go for it.
It's more just we're trying to inspire you to think about it.
Yeah.
Like, why are there seedless grapes?
Exactly.
Like that. Not that don't eat them. It's annoying to eat grapes with seeds.
And I put money on this. I would take this bet that if we like analyze the nutritional profile, take all the nutrients that we'd expect out of something like an orange or a grape, and we take the seedless, obviously off-season grown one, and we take the one that's grown in season with the seeds in it, I would bet there's a difference. Can we prove this? No.
I think you would be disappointed because I think that they've just modified the seeds, so it's still, I mean, maybe a little bit better, but I think it's just still all modified. If you're getting it mass produced, if you're getting it from like a local farm.
No, that's what I'm saying. If I get a grape from somebody's backyard little grape bush, whatever, that is seed, it has its seeds in it, naturally grown, you know, in season.
Yeah.
And I take this seedless grape from like the Welch's thing, I bet you the nutritional profile is different. Yeah. Like meaning this will have higher levels of the stuff than this one. I'm just taking a shot in the dark here, and I'm willing to bet on that. Granted. Okay, moving on. We bit the GMO thing. I was also going to talk about food ingredient bans. There's a recent. It started with the admission of like the red 40, I believe it was, that, and this is early on. Refer back to like episode 1 of PharmaPhobic when they came out and admitted, hey, this red 40 thing, this shit is pretty bad for humans, so we're gonna go ahead and ban that. Right. To me, it's like, nah, people have been saying this for 40 years that this stuff was causing issues, and now you want to admit it.
Yeah. So what? Texas banned?
Texas. So let me pull up here because we
Texas,
got
I
the
think
resources.
Utah banned.
So I pulled up 3 states. So Texas, Tennessee, and Utah are seem to be the ones. So Texas, California, and West Virginia also have some food additive bans. So Texas they're requiring warning labels on foods containing 44 additives. So now they're going to put warning labels on stuff with titanium dioxide. Hello, titanium dioxide. Sunscreen's another one with titanium dioxide. Just throwing that out there. It's a freaking metal. I mean, hey, heavy metal poisoning anybody? It's on your food and you're putting it on your skin? Come on now. So red 40, yellow 5, and they put Olestra in here that I don't think anybody uses Olestra anymore. You remember what Olestra, Olean, that oil, cooking oil, Olean? It's
Yeah.
really popular like early 2000s.
What is it?
It's a trans fat. They used to call it a trans fat. Then
What's it come from?
I couldn't even tell you. It's completely synthetic. But then they went crazy on the banning the trans fats, and then it transitioned into canola oil, more of that stuff.
Let's see. Oh, shit.
So Texas, yeah, they're gonna put warning labels on their stuff.
Olean.
That's a good start. Utah is implementing a ban on certain food additives in public schools. So Utah is gonna ban. What are they talking about here? Yep, same thing. The dyes: blue number 1, green number 3, red number 3, red 40, yellow 5. So they're gonna take that out of the school meals, which we could go down a whole rabbit hole on just how atrocious the school lunch situation is in most places. It is wild what these kids are being served at school. And then I think I've spoken about this on the show where like some of the kids that I train, we were talking about their school lunches, and one of them's like, yeah, I could have juice, like this, Tang, Kool-Aid type situation. I could have all the juice I want. I could have soda. I could have this crazy school milk. But if I want water, I got to pay.
Yeah, that's wild.
I was like, woo. Because I honestly, when kids start talking to me about nutrition, and guys, like, when we talk about kids, I'm talking about teen athletes, preteen, 12, 13-year-old kids that are playing baseball, they're in sports. So we talk about nutrition for performance and growth and fueling yourself adequately and that sort of thing. I end up telling them like, bro, pack a lunch. Mom, let's talk about how do we get your kid to pack a lunch?
Whenever I think of school lunches and like the juices or the milk, I just think of soggy cardboard.
No,
like at where you drink, it just gets soggy.
Yeah, no doubt. It's terrible. It's terrible. So Utah's implementing a ban on certain food additives. They're banning the dyes essentially in the school lunches. It's a start. It's not enough, but it's a start. And then what else do I have here? I think Tennessee, their stuff is still moving through the state legislature, but it's also a ban on the food dyes that they're doing. So this is all a start. I can't, there's a lot of stuff that we got to be worried about, I feel like, especially in kids. And if you take an example of a country like Japan, where they have this, like their school lunch program is insane. I mean, what these kids are eating is like, I wish everybody could eat that every day. These vegetables, everything has to be, sourced for a certain way. It has to be cooked a certain way. They have these like crazy cooks at the school. They're making everything from scratch. It's amazing.
Yeah. So I just looked up Olean. It's made from sucrose. And it has, and I guess this is a thing when creating foods or oils or whatever, it has the same mouth feel as a fat.
So you are trying
Mouthfeel.
to replicate something that already happens naturally in some foods. And you're trying to make a fake, messed up version.
It has 0 calories. Again, going back to, we're hyper focusing on calories and we're not focusing on nutrients.
Yeah. So Olean, it pretty much is out of the nutrition because early 2000s, the trans fat craze and the relation to cancer and all that stuff, which was a good thing. They kind of Olean phased out, but now we still have all sorts of synthetic oils in the food.
Going back to the school lunches and how Japan's optimal, I think it's a huge issue what we offer kids at school lunches, especially public schools. And I understand budgets and things like that. But to me, if I was a school and I wanted, because I think you're rated to some degree on performance of your students, right?
Yeah, academic
performance,
correct.
right? Okay. You can argue whether that's, if it's the Rockefeller model or whatever. Anyway, but wouldn't you want to have things implemented in the school to optimize performance? Meaning there's tons of studies about what foods help support brain health
Yep.
and cognition and things like that. There's tons of studies, and Nick Davenport talked about it when he was on here about physical activity and the
BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factor.
BDNF, you do some sort of cognitive work after exercise, it's like you score higher. So wouldn't you think that the school would then provide lunches that optimize brain health, insert in physical activity to optimize brain health and things like that? But
I told you we were opening a rabbit hole. Oh,
yeah.
So yes, agreed. And you're kind of, this is leading into what we wanted to get to, which is ADHD and nutrition, that relation, that correlation there.
Yeah.
But you are absolutely correct. You think, and this is why Japan does this is their whole reasoning behind it. You want a certain level of academic performance and you want the brain firing on all cylinders when you're trying to learn stuff. What you're eating throughout the day is going to have an effect on that. If you're coming down from a sugar high, you're not paying attention, now you're passing out, all this other stuff. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And if people are like, well, the diet doesn't matter that much with the brain, or as long as you're just getting sufficient calories, energy for the brain, that's fine. Well, then why is breastfeeding so important to an infant if food doesn't affect the brain? And I understand this is like beginning of their outside of the uterus development. So I get it, right? But if what we eat influences our brain, and we know that our brains aren't fully developed until, like, for men, 25, right? And for women, I think it's a little bit earlier. Then why are we not looking into and optimizing the food that our children are eating to help optimize appropriate brain development? So I went down I mentioned a little thing to Dan this morning, which I'll just touch on to share with you guys because you can look into it. Breastfeeding. Breast milk has just an enormous amount of nutrients and benefits for a child. Not everyone can breastfeed, and I'm sensitive to that, and I understand. However, let me ask this question. Why do formula companies lobby against extended maternity leave?
Bum, bum, bum. Grab your hats, guys.
Because
hey, grab your hats. Put them on.
If they have to go to work sooner, they're likely not to breastfeed as long, meaning they're going to need formula. Follow the money. Anyway.
Another thing there, there are women that can't breastfeed 100%. That's an existing situation. But my brain immediately goes to, why can't they breastfeed? What's happening environmentally? And I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm not saying it's the individual's fault. I'm saying, environmental factors, things, what's happening that women are losing their ability to breastfeed. That's where I go immediately.
I don't think it's a loss. So
that's where I go.
That's too big to talk about because it could be, does the kid have a tongue tie? Do they have a lip tie? Is their mouth not developed appropriately to latch on? What's the architecture of the nipple? Yep. Was there appropriate hormonal letdown for milk letdown? So the cascade of hormones for the milk letdown, all these things. Did they have a C-section?
Agreed.
Was it a natural birth? Did they get induced? Did they have other drugs?
But that's what I'm saying. But
no, so there's just way too much into that. And what I think we need to, I want to be very careful about this because I know a lot of women who tried so hard to breastfeed and then they could not. And so I don't want to demonize that. I just want to say that there is an active campaign to decrease women's ability to breastfeed if they can.
I got it. I'm not trying to demonize anything. I am basically saying that everything you just proposed, everything you just asked, if we deep dive into that, you are more likely to come up with a solution than if we say, oh, screw it, let's just start handing out formula like hotcakes. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it does take time, and it's
I agree, but I'm
kid's
saying
gonna start.
you and I and what we do in this podcast, we're looking towards root
I would
causes,
say,
solutions, that sort of thing. So, and to give another example, you know, I was having a conversation with my father about prostate cancer, and it is said that all men will die with prostate cancer.
Yeah, they die with,
not necessarily
not of.
but that every single man will have some degree of prostate cancer by the time they die. Whether you die at 60 or whether you die at 99, you're going to have some form of prostate cancer, and you're going to die with prostate cancer. So my question is, what are we doing that is giving all men prostate cancer? Because I don't think that's a natural function that, oh, you just get prostate. You're a dude. Oh, you're going to get prostate cancer, period, the end. That's my inquisitiveness doesn't stop there. So I'm applying the same thing to the whole women that can't breastfeed. Everything you just proposed, I feel like deep diving into that. And that's why I said I don't think it's the individual's fault. I'm looking at what outside of our control, what's being done that is presenting as women are losing their ability to breastfeed. Whether it's deformities in the child when they're born, whether it's hormonal things in the woman that they can't produce the breast milk, that is I would be curious about all of that.
I would look at it as, how has the access to formula increased, and how has that led to declining rates of breastfeeding, if it's not like just at all, or for the length of when they breastfeed, right? Because I don't know if there's a set date of how long is optimal to breastfeed. I know doing it too little can have effects. I know doing it too long can have effects. And so I think there's a broad range in there. However, what I would want to look at is, if women cannot breastfeed even immediately or at all, because maybe like, okay, a tongue tie needs to be addressed and then boom, it picks back up, right? Or maybe it's they pump and then give it through a bottle, okay? Yeah, but why are the formula options available trash?
Oh,
right?
Well,
and I know not everyone agrees with the seed oils, but all baby formulas have seed oils. And if fat, because breast milk is rich in fat, is good, why is that not in formula?
Cholesterol too. The breast milk's very high in cholesterol, and which helps with the brain formation and all that stuff.
So that's something I need to look into more, because I don't know the details about it. But it's just
and the formula, they'll tell nutrition. You it has all these vitamins and minerals, all synthetic, and they tend to be less bioavailable versions of what you need.
Because I think, like, I need to fact check this, but I want to say, like, back in the day. Like, I'm talking like back in the day before formula was a thing. If somebody couldn't breastfeed, I think they just gave it to another woman who was lactating.
They had surrogate. Yes, right. They had surrogate for breastfeeding. I think the takeaway here is that breastfeeding is, and whether you said like pump and give a bottle, but that mother-child interaction with milk when they're babies is essential. Like, it's hard to argue against it, right? The kids that breastfeed, and there's studies on this, tend to have less autoimmune conditions, tend to have better immune system development, tend to have less, like, their brain development as well is better. And there's another one on the other spectrum of that. I saw another study where they were talking about mothers that were struggling with obesity that ended up breastfeeding their child, and then the child had obesity issues as well.
Right.
And had also a prefrontal cortex development issue. This is amazing. I need to re-pull up that study again so that we could kind of dive into it here. But it's hard to argue with the fact that, hey, breast milk is excellent for development.
I would just like to say that I was a formula-fed baby from day one, so that may explain some things. I'm just kidding.
You know what? I don't know about me. I don't know. I don't have to ask my mother. I mean, I'm a product of the 80s, so I want to assume that it was probably breast milk what I was drinking. But I'll tell you, I knock on wood, I rarely get sick. Like, years go by where I don't get sick. Like, not a cold, guys. Maybe a little, I think I have a little something, and then it goes away.
I call it like a little hip check.
Yeah, like a little, I got a little, and then it goes away. I don't have any allergies. I can eat whatever I want. No stomach issues. Nothing upsets my stomach. I always tell Janie, it's like, I could eat rocks and I'm solid. But
this
anyway.
man sneezes 3 times and he has like a fit. He's like, I don't get allergies. I don't get this.
Exactly.
He low level have some allergies. Don't let him fool you.
There's nothing identifiable that I could be like, oh yeah, that makes me feel sick.
When we lived up in New York, they rocked you a little bit.
I think I was just allergic to BS. Oh.
Okay, let's move on.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Anyway. Okay, moving on. So, oh, that was a good one. I'm sorry. I
alley-ooped that for you.
Yeah, just slam dunked it. Anyway, getting to it. So the ADHD in the schools and the nutrition in the schools, if we want better brain function for kids when they're learning, why aren't we optimizing what they're eating? So that pulls us into what we wanted to get to today, which is the relationship or correlation between...
I think you can say relationship.
Yeah, between ADHD symptoms in children specifically and nutrition. Okay, so pulled up a study. There's this thing called the INCA study that seemed to be very interesting. I read 2 of them, but the INCA one was the one that kind of prompted this. So INCA, it's impact of nutrition on children with ADHD. That's what INCA stands for. It was a Netherlands and Belgium study. So this is interesting because their food situation is very different to ours, right?
Like, and I would probably bet that their rates of ADHD are less than the U.S.
Insanely lower. But
I don't know if it's in total or per capita because I know we have more people than they do. So I don't know.
No, we got way more. But their food situation in general, you know, back to the seasonal eating, back to the certain ingredients are banned in their food. Their food situation, unfortunately for us, is better than ours. That it's hard to argue with that even though Europe's starting to get infiltrated, especially Western Europe, by, you know, seed oils, by fake ingredients.
Yeah.
They're starting to deteriorate their food situation. Like the food companies have gotten a little smarter on their ways to circumvent the food bans, but they have more control over what goes into their food over there than we do over here. So this is Belgium and the Netherlands. Little interesting thing. First of all, I get fired up because we woke up early this morning. We were having breakfast and we were like researching stuff for the podcast. And you have these moments where I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. And I live for that. That's why I love this. That's why we're in a podcast. Like I love that moment where I'm like, holy crap, I learned something new.
Yeah.
And just deep diving into it. Anyway, so IgG.
There you go.
IgG.
Let's just use the letters.
Immunoglobulin G. The Puerto Rican just comes like immunoglobulin G.
Just say it with an accent.
Immunoglobulin G. That's how my mom would say it. Immunoglobulin G. So this is it's the most abundant antibody, okay? Mm-hmm. So this thing supposedly neutralizes pathogens like bacteria and viruses, and it helps you build up your immune system. Anything you want to add there, Miss Ma'am, on IgG?
I just like to personify things in my head. So like IgM is the first one that comes, and then IgG comes in. So I just think it's like the pawns come first, and then the heavy hitters.
Oh, that's right? like moving your rooks and bishops and stuff.
I'm sure you can make it like the military, like IgG, the special ops coming in after the infantry.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so there you go. So IgG, ironically enough, this thing that helps you build up your immune system and that neutralizes pathogens is found in breast milk.
Shut up.
Oh my God.
It's like we were designed for something.
Yeah, you were designed to, hey, get some of that breast milk and you're building up your immune system. This thing is also transferable. So if the mom, when they have a baby it
can cross the placenta.
It crosses the placenta and the baby can reap the benefits of the IgG. So if the mom is, has good levels of IgG, her immune system's firing, she's protected from these pathogens, so is the baby through the placenta, through the mom. Isn't that crazy?
No,
Man,
it's not crazy.
no, but I'm saying, well, it's not crazy, but I'm just like, it's amazing. Like you start thinking about how things were designed and how we're designed to work and through nature. And maybe we should honor these systems and figure out ways to like, hey, this is how things are meant to work.
I'll say it every podcast. We do not give the human body the credit it's due.
No, we do not. We do not. I mean, this is mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
And and we know vitamin D is a part of this equation too. Like there's a lot there, but this is pretty cool. So anyway, that was part of the study because they measured the IgG levels in the kids and then they assigned them different diets to kind of help them boost the IgG. Now, at the conclusion, they said that it wasn't recommended to classify people by IgG.
Okay.
Don't have the details on why they got to that conclusion, but here is what they did
I think
find.
because there's probably so many other factors that can influence it.
Yeah, oh, no doubt.
And you can't control for like exposure and stuff like that. So I just think that there's too many variables. So it's probably not a good enough of a control.
Yep. Now, here's what they did find though. They separated these kids into two groups, okay? The one group, the control group, they basically gave them advice. They taught them about healthier eating, right? Mm-hmm. But they didn't manage their diet.
Okay.
The other group went into a strict elimination diet. No processed food, no food dye. So they're basically eating whole foods only. Yeah. Okay. The group that went into the elimination diet
was only 2 arms?
Yes.
Can we get more triple arm stuff?
Well,
anyway, sorry.
Yeah, but 2 arms, but then they basically there were levels to it. So they like gave them the kids that adhered and showed signs of improvement. So anyway, they moved them over to the second arm of the study. And then from there, No,
but I'm saying I want somebody who's only given advice, like education on diet, and then eat with, take that information and go, who were given, like, this is only what you can eat. So their diet was controlled versus people who just weren't educated, weren't controlled. Like, let's get that third arm.
So meaning like you want somebody that
real life.
Yeah, that did nothing.
The general people who don't know anything and then just go out and... Which I read a specialist note, or not a specialist, but a previous primary care note that said in a patient who wanted weight loss, they're like, counseled patient that nutrition starts at the grocery store. And I'm like, that is poopy advice.
Oh my God, because I could go to a grocery store and buy some freaking ice cream.
Exactly. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
So they basically put these kids in the elimination diet. That group, the reduction in ADHD symptoms was substantial, like 60% reduction. Like and some of the kids even fell off the ADHD list because they no longer had symptoms presenting. Now, there's a lot there because it's a significant number. It's not like, 20%. No, 60%. That's wild. Reduction in ADHD symptoms. Now, let's lay out the environmentals of this. 1, this is correlational. So they're not saying that ADHD is caused by a poor diet.
Correct.
Okay, that's not what they're saying. They're not saying that diet is the only thing that factors into having or not having ADHD symptoms.
Yep.
Nope. But what they are concluding is that improving your diet will absolutely help manage, improve ADHD symptoms.
Correct.
Okay. Now, talking about, let's observe what we see out there in the ether with children. My personal experience, observational. Oh, another reason before I go there, why I like this study. I said it in Netherlands and Belgium, funding statements, that sort of thing. Studies that tend to come from that side of the world tend to be a little bit less influenced by lobby groups. And
it wasn't
things like
sponsored
that.
by Vyvanse?
It wasn't sponsored by Vyvanse, exactly, or whatever pharmaceutical company makes Vyvanse. It wasn't sponsored by, the AHA or the AD or one of these lobbying groups that just has controlled money from the industry. Anyway, so where was I going? Observational. Kids that I have that present ADHD heavily. I feel like I have more and more of them. But
that you train?
That I train.
How many are officially diagnosed? versus what you were observing as ADHD type traits?
Officially diagnosed and medicated. This is why I know it's officially and medicated. They're on Vyvanse or whatever. 3 for sure. For sure.
And you primarily train boys.
Yes.
And it's...
I don't have any girls right now. No, I have girls, but no. Oh, wait. I do have girls, and I do have one with it.
Right. But ADHD is more commonly diagnosed in boys.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And there are things that, listen, we're also admitting here that there are things that they could call ADHD that are not necessarily ADHD.
Correct.
It's a freaking smart kid with a high IQ level that's just bored because you're not talking to him at his level or her at their level. You know what I mean? Or it's a kid that just, needs to move a little more. So they're calling that ADHD, but it's not necessarily that. So let's, putting that aside. But I'm talking things that I've noticed observationally. 1, eating patterns it's not that they're bad. They're atrocious. I wake up and what do I have for breakfast? I'm eating cookies for breakfast.
Right.
I'm not making this up, guys. Because I inquire, I'm managing energy levels when we're working out. Why are you tired? Why are you dragging butt? What's going on? We're not paying attention to what we're doing if we're training in groups, that sort of thing. And I'm kind of saying, hey, what'd you eat today? I didn't have lunch. I had cookies for breakfast type thing. Or the one that I hear a lot from the kids that are on the Vyvanse, I haven't eaten yet. And it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
So, yes, because the side effect of the ADHD medications, because they're stimulants, is going to be appetite suppression. Okay. And I think that this is failure of the prescriber, failure of the parent, where this medication needs to be given with or after meals to not suppress that first meal. Mm-hmm. Okay. I educate whenever I've prescribed this, it needs to be a high protein meal first thing in the morning. To help with satiety because their lunch may be less because of the appetite suppression, right? So just try to get nutrients, boom, in heavy that first meal. Also, if a medication suppresses the appetite and kids don't have the cues to want to eat, then they're going to be more attracted to whatever tastes good, or the parents are going to be like, I don't care, I just want you to eat. Mm-hmm. Well, what's going to be the most appetite or the most pleasing things to their taste buds?
Crunchy ass potato chips or something
things
sweet.
That are hyper processed, which have been made in a lab to be hyper palatable. Yep. Okay, because then they're more likely to get that. Now you could argue, well, some kids, they just need calories. Okay, fine, but now what are we developing? We're developing an acquired taste for these hyper palatable things. Things like apples, strawberries, blueberries don't taste as good. And now what happens when they get older? They don't need the medication, or they're still on the medications. What food choices are they making? Now they have diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol.
Yep.
So
it is. I mean, and it doesn't fail. I mean, not to say a lot of the kids are already having a hard time with their nutrition. And we're managing that because these kids are interested in performance, which I respect and admire. Hey, I need to get bigger. I need to get stronger. I need to get faster. So that's a cool conversation to have. Then comes the question, what are we eating? This is where we go down the rabbit hole of school lunches and all this stuff. So, but with these kids specifically, the more the ADHD diagnosed kids, that's a problem. It's we're training at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I haven't eaten all day because I took my thing and I wasn't hungry. And now we're trying to lift weights, go to a batting practice, that sort of thing.
Decreased energy, increased risk of injury.
Yep. Or I'm pounding a sack of potato chips because now I got hungry after not being able to eat all day.
Or they're starting this development of reliance upon caffeine later in the day, which could be impacting their sleep. Disruption in sleep is going to lead to less cognitive function, which can look like inattentiveness.
Yeah. No, it's wild too, managing that, because it is, you want to talk about the squirrel. It's pretty intense. Managing that is wild, and getting, maintaining their attention. There's
ways to work around that, which you've done as a coach. Because when I did the strength coach for special populations, there's a chapter on ADHD. And I was like, because I know one client you have specifically, he's disrupted between sets because he's... So I'm like, hilarious. This study shows supersetting works really well for him, or giving him something to do during the rest period maybe has nothing to do, like, you have to dribble this ball 50 times between sets, like something like that.
With him, this specific person you're talking about, I started supersetting more.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. I haven't eaten all day. So it's like, so I can't make the session super tough. So he's going to need rest in between, but he's getting pretty strong. With yesterday, I trained him yesterday and it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm just like, how are we doing this? I don't know, but it's happening. So we're going to take it. But it speaks to a very crazy situation where you see these studies like this one, where you see that relationship between what we're eating and ADHD symptoms. And it's not to say that if you change your eating, boom, ADHD gone. But if it helps you reduce the symptoms to 60%, why would we not attack this with all we have?
Because it takes effort. Sorry.
No, it takes effort. But then, then we go back to the school lunches. Like, why are we feeding these kids this stuff? Why are they vending machines in every corner? Why are we not paying a little bit more attention?
It takes effort at all levels. It takes effort at the school board level. It takes effort at the parent, advocating for healthier meals or making the food, right? Mm-hmm. Or taking the time to teach the kid how to make their own lunches. It takes effort for the medical providers prescribing the medication to know more about dietary effects on the brain and educating, like, hey, I'm going to give you this medication, but let's try to keep it at a low dose and optimize these other things so you don't have to be on 50 milligrams of Vyvanse and then take a 10 milligram immediate release Adderall in the afternoon because you've already, burned through that and it's not effective anymore.
Not only that, but you're not, like, if this is going to suppress their appetite to that level where they go the entire day without eating. This is a child. You're 13, 14 years old. You're growing.
Yeah,
you're developing hormones, all this stuff. You need calories for that. And you're going to not counsel them on the fact that their eating patterns are going to be disrupted. So and they need to strategize a little bit better.
So I always did, because especially with the longer acting, the extended release stimulants, that can go over into affecting their sleep. The other thing is, and it's more extended release, fortunately, the come down is slower, but I don't think enough prescribers counsel about this or ask about this, but with the immediate release stimulus, that the come down can cause a dump in mood. And now this kid's feeling kind of depressed because
kind of manic
because your Adderalls and your Vyvanse, those affect dopamine, okay? Because dopamine helps, stimulate the brain. And when you take that away or the medication wears off and there's a drop in it, why do you think addicts keep going back for a hit? It's the same process.
Which I've seen all of this throughout my interactions with children. Everything you're saying, I've seen them go manic. I've seen them. It's. Mm-hmm. I feel, in a way, I feel sorry for them. I empathize, because if you're a parent, you don't, your kid's acting up, he's having a hard time at school, and you don't know how to deal with this. You take him to the doctor that you trust. Listen, the doctor they're not reading studies on nutrition and ADHD.
But hopefully that's changing.
Yeah.
Because in Texas, they're requiring medical schools to implement nutrition training for providers.
That just came out.
So hopefully there's a change.
Hopefully it's not Rockefeller nutrition and it's actual nutrition, guys. Yeah. That's what I hope, that they have real deal people that are versed in nutrition teaching this stuff, and they're not adopting some Rockefeller curriculum to freaking nutrition, like, hey, just make sure you get these polyunsaturated fats in your diet. Don't eat red meat. None of that trash, But anyway, I had to get that in there. And then in the future, we'd like to do an episode on Rockefeller and medical schools, whatever. But anyway.
So I think one thing that's a huge disservice is the siloing. Like, we know the medical system's siloed, right? You see a cardiologist, you see a neurologist, you do this, and nobody's talking to each other. I'm currently helping with a patient right now who his blood pressure's tanking because he's on a medication for something else, and the prescriber who's prescribing that isn't looking at his blood pressure, and I think there's a correlation between this. So we're trying to reach out to the neurologist, being like, hey, let's say it's a neurologist prescribing a medication. Hey, maybe we need to decrease the medication so his blood pressure doesn't continue to tank. But there's not enough providers out there, especially specialists, looking at big picture. How is this affecting stuff? How does that relate to ADHD? Well, a lot of people think, well, if I have ADHD, it's only my brain. So give me a med, fix it. It doesn't matter what I'm putting in my mouth or how I'm moving my body or how I'm managing stress or with my sleep. Nothing matters with that, but it does.
Yeah.
Because the brain and the body are not separate.
Yep.
It is connected. It is bi-directional. Your brain can influence your body can influence your brain. So first of all, we talked about this with Nick Davenport. ADHD is likely overdiagnosed because they changed the criteria to make it more inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, like way more symptoms now.
As the practice that I spent the majority of the time in, that I came in right after school, did have behavioral health integrated within it, which is great. So if a parent came in with concerns for ADHD, we automatically could send them to a behavioral health specialist in-house to screen them for ADHD, which includes screening for depression and anxiety. Because if you're really depressed, if you're really anxious, let me know how well you focus. You can't, okay? And if I have a kid who has wicked anxiety because, stuff's going on at home and I put him on a stimulant, I just made his anxiety worse. Great job. So that all needs to be addressed. But not to mention, if somebody truly does have ADHD, they can also be depressed about it, because how do you think a kid feels when they're getting in trouble at school all the time and they can't focus, they can't keep up, or because they're too cognitively advanced or intellectually advanced and they're just not stimulated and they're bored? What does boredom lead to? Okay. So all these things need to be addressed in addition to ADHD, and all these things, time and time again, studies have shown what you eat, how you move your body, and how you sleep can improve all of these.
Yeah, like brain function isn't something, it's electrical impulses and all this stuff, but there's mitochondrial density and things like that that support that support synapses. That is all fired and fueled by nutrition, right? Like you need certain nutrients, protein intake. You need, there's zinc, there's iron, cholesterol, things like that that are a part of how your brain functions. Omega-3 fatty acids, things like that help your brain fire better. So it's one of those things where it's like, listen, this is a huge rock in combating something like ADHD, which you were looking at the numbers. It's becoming more and more common.
It's 1 in 9.
It's what?
1 in 9 kids.
1 in 9 kids and rising. It's not going away.
Ages 3 to 17, excuse me.
Yeah. And then you said in 2022, was it that they diagnosed 1 million more kids with it?
2022 diagnoses was 1 million more than 2016.
So, you see how this thing's going up exponentially. So I think there's also environmental factors here. Like I think the TikTokies and the IGs and the reels and the scrolling.
I talked about that last time when I said I'm doing no social media on weekends, is because I feel like I'm getting so used to just quick things. I don't have the attention span to watch something that's longer. And last weekend did no social media. Freaking amazing. Am doing it again this weekend. And so I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah. So I think that there's, the amount of screen time that kids are getting these days, I think it's contributing to that as well. So these are other factors that we'll deep dive in another episode, because there's also environmental things at play here that are kind of causing a rise in ADHD. But fighting back, guys, this nutrition correlation, if you're struggling with this and you're not turning over that rock of nutrition, man, you really there's a lot there. Yeah. And I highly recommend that you look into this.
Yeah. So the last thing I'll say on this, because I think that people want just simple yes or no answers. So my kid has ADHD, put him on a med, done, fixed, done, right? Unfortunately, it's not like that, because something like ADHD, something like depression, anxiety, it's multifactorial. We need to take into account what is influencing it, because likely a lot of things are, but how much each thing is influencing it is different per person, okay? So when it comes to a stimulant's only going to help with one aspect of it. But there's all these other things that could be contributing to the ADHD or depression or anxiety in kids. So we need to look at everything. I would argue that addressing nutrition and addressing exercise is going to help with some aspects of the ADHD and also help with your metabolic function, help with your sleep, help with your energy, help with your metabolizing more nutrients, you're metabolizing better food. Therefore, your overall health is improving, and that will likely also in other ways influence ADHD.
Yeah. So, and here's another correlation here, because a lot of these kids, they're on the medication. Their eating patterns are wildly disrupted because they're not, it kills their hunger cues and all this stuff. Then they're also lower on the growth charts as well.
Yeah.
So you're essentially living in a hypocaloric state. You're underfed. Sleep patterns are then interrupted because you're not getting enough calories. That's a symptom of not getting enough calories. So you see how all these other things downstream are affected. That in turn creates this vicious cycle with the ADHD. It's like, oh, he's not sleeping enough.
Yeah. In theory, ADHD should be able to be treated with low dose of stimulants if needed, if you're working on all these other things. And so what are some takeaways? How can we help?
Honestly, the first thing is, listen, if you're struggling with this, you look at these studies I just pulled one up. There's a lot of studies on this stuff, on the relationship between food and ADHD symptoms. I think that's a huge rock to turn over with kids with ADHD. Like, hey, you got diagnosed with this. We've been struggling with it. Let's, if you need to go on the medication, go ahead and do that. But let's hit this lifestyle stuff too. Let's eat better. And as a family, because this sounds, a lot of these kids are like, they're just eating whatever, but the parents are kind of standing by and kind of letting them do it too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because I don't think our demographic watching this is going to be teenagers.
Yeah.
Okay. But I will say probably, I'm going to guess at least one person watching this has a kid with ADHD.
It's very common. So
if they themselves.
Or they're starting to present with it. Yeah.
And so I would say the improved nutrition starts in the home with the whole family.
Yep.
It's not my kid needs to eat this way. You all need to eat this way.
Yeah, you're not going to sit there and eat pizza for dinner and your kid that has ADHD, you're going to feed him a freaking Mediterranean diet or something. Like, stop it, guys. All of y'all are doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's wild. But anyway, I think in conclusion, this is one of those things where like a lot of these common problems that we see out there in society, especially here for us, there's always a lifestyle thing to be done to either reduce the risk drastically. Again, going back to the study, we're talking over 60% reduction. Why would you not take that?
Yeah.
Why would you not take that? So we're going to like beat this horse and like, eat better, eat better. And when the horse is dead, we're going to beat it up some more. Like, just eat better. If it's like, oh, it's not going to solve it. But man, 60% reduction? You don't want that? You don't want that? Come on now. So takeaway here, guys, eat some real food. Yeah. Just do it.
Yes. And if you need help on how that looks for you in your current situation, your current budget, your current lifestyle, we would be more than happy to help. So reach out to us on Instagram, shoot us a DM at Achieve the Lifestyle. Our website, achievthelifestyle.com. You can email us through there or just email us straight at info@achievthelifestyle.com. And we can help get you right.
Yeah. I mean, it's all, listen, the principles are universal. It's just figuring out how to apply them to you. The principle of eat better, eat real food applies to every last one of us. Question is, how do we get you to implement it at your individual level? Also
want to plug Sean Mottle's family cookbook, because I think that that's really good because it emphasizes healthy food choices for the whole family. And I won't get into it now, but the studies that show the benefits of eating together as a family. Yeah. So I'll try to remember to include the link for the cookbook in the show notes for this, but that is a huge resource. I've recommended it to many, 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 many families.
Yeah. Eat better, feel better. And with that, guys, we're going to leave it there.
Yeah, thanks. Have a great
Thank you for checking us out.
Week, because it'll be Tuesday. Yeah, have a great week.
Enjoy your week, guys. We out. Thanks for listening to the PharmaPhobic podcast. If you found this conversation interesting, which I know you did, make sure to follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And also make sure to check us out on Instagram at Achieve the Lifestyle. And if you're interested in pursuing a stronger, healthier, more capable version of yourself, check out our website at achievethelifestyle.com.
The PharmaPhobic podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not constitute medical, legal, or professional advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider before making any medical or wellness decisions. While we discuss pharmaceutical, holistic, and alternative health topics, our content is not a substitute for professional medical guidance.